Okay, this video is for the assignment on integers or positive and negative numbers for Math 60. So to get us started, I put a number line up here. Notice the 0 is in the middle. You've got all your positives going out to the right, all the negatives going out to the left, and that's typically how people draw these number lines. And so it's good to get used to it visually, and if it helps you to have it in front of you, then I encourage you to have it in front of you. Now we are using a calculator for this course, and so you can calculate these problems on a calculator, but again, it's important that you understand what the calculator is doing. Okay? So I would encourage you to work these problems without the calculator, check yourself with the calculator, because it's good to have a sense of how positives and negatives work. Okay? So let me talk about one thing first off, and that is what happens when you have two signs right next to each other. Whether you're multiplying and dividing, or whether you're doing a problem like, 7 plus negative 4, or something like that. Okay? So we'll see this again when we come to multiplication and division. Takes a little bit of getting used to, but in the end, I think that it works out pretty well. Okay. So here you can see this is a 7. There's no sign in front of it, so we know that it's a positive 7. Okay. This is only for if you have two signs right next to each other, or if you're multiplying and dividing. So here's your two signs, positive and negative. That turns into a negative. Okay. One way to think about this is if you're doing a regular addition or subtraction problem, let's say you're doing 5 plus 9. That means you start at the 5, well, this is a positive 5, so you start at positive 5. This plus says to go off down this direction, 9 places, that'll take you to 14. Okay? Now if you did 5 plus negative 7, okay? Now this plus minus right here, that just turns into a minus. That turns into 5 minus 7. That says go to the positive 5, and then go this way. 7 places. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And that'll take you to negative 2. Okay? So this plus sign says point yourself in this direction, and then this negative sign says turn yourself around and go this way. Okay? And so that's how we turn these two signs into just one single sign. Alright? When you've got a single sign, the plus says go this way, the minus says go this way. Alright. Same thing will happen if you have minus plus. Okay, minus says face this way, and plus says don't change anything. Alright? That's essentially what these signs say when they're right next to each other. The plus faces you this way, the second plus doesn't change anything. Alright? Here, the plus faces you this way, and then the minus turns you around. Alright? Here, the minus faces you this way, and the plus says don't change anything. Here, the minus faces you this way, and then the second minus flips you back around and points you in that direction. Alright? So that's one of the ideas behind why two negatives make a positive. Now, before we start doing problems here, I want to point out a big difference here. Big difference between, let's say, 5 minus negative 3 and negative 5 minus negative 3. Okay? So, this one, you've got these two negatives. Again, the first one says face this way. The second one says turn yourself around and go the other way. This turns into 5 plus 3, which will give you 8. Okay? This one, negative 5 minus 3, starts you out at the negative 5, and then takes you 3 spaces further out to negative 8. Alright, well what if we did negative 5 minus negative 3? Well again, this minus and minus turn into a plus, and this says go out to negative 5 and go to the right 1, 2, 3 places, and that'll be negative 2. Okay. people do sometimes is when you get this down to just a single sign with each number, if the signs are the same, that says you'll be going in the same direction. You're at positive 5, you're going 3 more in the positive direction, that'll be 8. Okay? Here the signs are the same, that says you're going in the same direction out to negative 8. All right? When the signs are different, that's where you're going to be having a difference. Okay? The difference between 5 and 3 is 2. Now, what sign that answer takes depends on which of these is positive and which is negative. If you've got negative 5 and positive 3, that'll be negative 2. If you've got positive 5 and negative 3, then that'll be positive 2. Okay. Well, hopefully this isn't too confusing. Let's take a look at the problems, and then we'll see how we do here. All right. Problem 2, 3 plus negative 12. So again, you've got the two signs here. That says this is nothing more than 3 minus 12. That means you're at the positive 3. You go back that way 12 places. That's going to leave you at negative 9. And again, notice that the signs are different. That says you're going to be taking a difference rather than a sum. Okay? And notice that the 9 is negative because this 12 is negative. All right, problem 4. Negative 9 plus negative 15. And again, you've got the double signs here, so let's just turn that into a single sign. This says go out to negative 9 and then go another 15 places out into the negatives. That'll take you out to negative 24. All right, number 6, negative 32 plus 25. Now this one's pretty straightforward, okay, because there's no double signs here. We don't have to do anything to fix those signs. We're starting out at negative 32, which is going to be out here somewhere, and then we're going to come back this way 25 places, and that's going to leave us at negative 7. Okay? Problem 8. Let's see, we just did one like that. Let's take a look at the different problems here. Yeah, let's get down to problem 14. Here we've got 6 minus 10. And so that's like you're starting at the positive 6, and then you're going out this way 10 places. That's going to leave you at negative 4. Notice that when the negative is larger than the positive, your answer is negative. Okay? Doesn't matter whether you start in the positive area or whether you start in the negative area. Okay? If you start in the positive area and the negative is bigger, that says you're going to go out past 0 into the negatives. This one starts at negative 32. Notice the 25 is not enough to bring you back to 0, which is why your answer is still negative. Okay. Let's see what else we got here. Problem 16. 9 minus negative 5. Again, you've got a double sign. Let's make that into a single sign. 9 plus 5, well, that's just 14. And again, that negative negative is because the first negative turns you around and points you that way. The second negative turns you back around and points you in that direction. Okay? I know that that's something that people get confused about sometimes with positives and negatives. Why do two negatives make a positive? So there's one explanation, is that the negative turns you around. So if you have two of them, you get turned around twice, and you end up back in this direction. What else? In English, right? You have double negatives in English. I'm not going. That means that you are going. Two negatives make a positive. It happens in language as well as mathematics. All right, let's keep going with these. 16, 18. Now notice the difference between 16 and 18. I talked about this a minute ago. Okay, this is a double negative and it turns positive. This is not a double negative. These negative signs don't affect each other. This says go out to the negative 12, And then this one says keep going in that direction, 8 more places, and that'll take you out to negative 20. All right, problem 20. Negative 2 minus negative 14. And so again, here you've got a double sign. So we want to rewrite that as plus 14. Now we've got negative 2 plus 14. That should be positive 12. So if you start here at negative 2, go 14 places to the right, you'll end up at positive 12. 22, negative 10 minus negative 12. Again, this is a double negative, so we make that plus 12. Negative 10 plus 12 should be positive 2. Okay. Well, let's look at a few more. Let's see here, problem 26. You've got negative 14 minus negative 18. So here's a double negative. We'll leave the negative 14 alone. We'll bring this down to just a single sign. And now we've got negative 14 plus 18. So our answer is going to be positive. And what's the difference between these? 4. Okay? If you start out here at 18, you'll come back 14 places to 4. If you start out here at negative 14, you'll go 18 places to the right and end up at positive 4. All right, 28. 65 plus negative 20. So again, let's make this a single sign. 65 minus 20 is just plain old 45. Problem 30. 50 plus negative 20. Very much like this one. Really very similar. Right? You've got the double sign here, so let's just call this 50 minus 20, and that'll leave us with positive 30. Okay, problem 32 is a little bit different. Negative 17 minus 18. So this is like you're starting at a negative 17, and then that minus 18 takes you further off into the negative numbers, out to negative 35. Problem 34, 48 minus negative 12. Notice the difference between these two. Here, this is a double negative in front of one number. Here, this negative's in front of the 17, this one's in front of the 18, and so that's not a double negative, all right? Here, this is 48 plus 12, which will give you 60. Okay, well, I think that's a good place to stop. Again, like I said, I think it's a good idea to understand this number line and to think about it when you're doing these problems. You don't have to get rid of these double signs. I just find that it's easier to do it that way. Okay, the next assignment we're going to do is we're going to talk about multiplication and division of positives and negatives. This becomes a lot more important when we're doing that. And as always, I'll get that assignment made up and make another video for it. And as always, if you have any questions, please let me know. Email, call, and we've got the Zoom Math Lab. We'll start tomorrow. It'll be open Tuesday through Friday from noon to 2. And we'll continue having our once-a-week Zoom sessions on Mondays at 12:30. Thanks.